My name is Andrew Waugh from Waugh Thistleton Architects. We're based in London and we're an architect's practice who build mostly in timber. The reason why we build principally in timber really comes from the notion of environmental awareness. So it's about being responsible, that we feel as an architecture practice that it's beholden upon us to take responsible decisions with regard to the environment and the impact that our buildings will have on the environment. We built our first mass timber building in 2003, and we built it because we were looking for technologies, for materials, for systems where we could reduce the environmental impact. And then in 2008 we built Stadhaus, Murray Grove, London, and that really was the first building of that, of that type. So it's the first high-rise mass timber building in the world. And for us, that was a really important kind of starting point for what has now become the core ethos of the practice. So the argument that we originally put forward, which were primarily around cost, benefits and program benefits, so building better buildings faster and cheaper. Actually now the environmental aspect of what we do is really important to our clients as well. Now we're right at the beginning of this, but the opportunities and the possibilities of building a new architecture with a new material I think are boundless and really exciting. When we built our first buildings in timber, they really were, I think, very similar structures to concrete, and we were literally replacing the concrete and steel with timber. But now the buildings that we are designing, that we're building, really are very specific to the notion of building with a timber building, to the engineering opportunities that material provides. So timber is really developing its own new design language and a new architectural vernacular from that. I don't think that many of us realize how steeped in concrete we are, how actually the architectural images, the architectural buildings that we know are concrete buildings. So in order to dispel that kind of design background that you have, to begin to think about buildings in a different way, the way to do that is to start thinking about the material and to start with the notion of that material. So find out about the material, find out about what timber can do, how it works, what the aesthetic benefits are, what the engineering benefits are, and then run with it. I really believe that we're facing this kind of this timber tsunami, this wave of interest and excitement about timber construction, and that as the ideas around a timber architecture evolve, I think that the technique, the science behind these materials will become ever more sophisticated. So the introduction of sustainable hardwoods into engineered timber, bringing in materials like Kevlar, carbon fiber, laminating those into the details. I think we're really going to see the emergence of that kind of technology. A lot of the work that we've done has been in housing and affordable housing. I find that very inspiring because housing really is at the core of what architecture is about. It's providing shelter for humanity. So as a kind of and as a political act, which I think architecture inherently is, then affordable housing, social housing, the housing that society provides, is a very important part of what we do. So I think our legacy as a practice would be that we were instrumental in changing the perception of timber as a material that can be used for tall buildings, for high density building, high density housing. And what we've always been really focused on is the idea that environmental awareness should be the core aspect of what an architect does. That climate change is something that architecture needs to confront and engage with.